What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today we are finishing creating the Shop Gui. Now, of course, if this video does help you guys out or you do enjoy it, make sure you smash the like button and also hit the subscribe button and turn those post notifications on. If you have any questions, we have a community Discord. You guys can go down below in the description and join that. I also have a Patreon if you guys would like to support me and gain access to all the scripts and the game file from this entire series. There's a link down below in the description of my Patreon. Go check it out. With that being said, let's get into it. So, if I remember correctly, when we open the shop and we click between the different items, this button, the buy button, does not actually reset, and that's what we will be fixing first. So what we need to do is we need to go to the item constructor, and we're going to be working with the click item function. So this is actually relatively simple. It's pretty much what we're going to be doing is sort of the same thing as we did right here. We could actually copy this. We're just going to be changing the if statements up slightly. So if we go back over to the shop server, this is how we're figuring out if a player can actually afford it or not, the actual item, and that's when we're returning purchased or no money. So let's bring this over to the click item method, and we could put right inside of here, and we're going to say if player leader stats coins.value equals, and instead of purchased, we're going to say self.price. So we're now comparing the price of the item to the amount of money that the player actually has, which we now also have to add a player variable into this. So local player equals game get service players dot local player, and that will get the local player who owns this script, and then there we go. So now we can compare the amount of money that they have, and what we're going to say is we're going to say greater than or equal to. So if they have enough money or more money, we will say buy. And what color will this be? All right, this will be green, so that's actually exactly what we want. And we will just say, instead of saying anything else, we'll say else, and then we'll say not enough money, and red. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start this up. Let's open this up, and we can see right here, it says not enough money. Now let's click buy on this, and we can say it says purchase. Now if we click over to the other item, it still says not enough money, and it doesn't actually do anything. So that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted the buy button to not transfer over to the other item and say the exact same thing, so we fixed that. Now you might also want to have an if statement inside of here for if the player has already purchased the item, and actually change the button text to own or equip or whatever else you'd want to do. That is sort of why I added the order here. The thing is that requires you to build your own tool system if you're going to be using data stores to store the order inside of the actual player and set it as like a string value or something, so that you know the highest tool that the player has bought. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually do it, but I'm not exactly going to go in and make the entire system in this episode, just because that is a lot more than I really care to do, and everybody's going to have a different system. Personally, when I make simulators and actually use this sort of shop, I save the order as an int value inside of the player, so then I check the highest int value that the player actually has, and then if that value is greater than the item the player just clicked on, then it'll say own. But like I said, there are so many different ways that you can make this system, and in the future I'll probably actually make a simulator series where I recreate a simulator and we go over this entire thing, but for right now this is good enough. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to get the viewport frame working so that we don't have to only use images in our shop. Now, what we're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to the toolbox, you're going to need to get a model, and you're going to have to find a model. I'm just going to pick one of the random models from here. We'll go with this diamond pickaxe. Put this tool in the starter pack. We're going to say yes for right now because we actually have to make sure that it's all set up. I would definitely recommend that you delete all of the possible scripts because you don't want any issues. We also don't need any sounds. And then we're going to start the game and see if the pickaxe actually looks good or if it's actually holdable. Okay, yeah, that looks perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now what we're going to do is we are going to drag this into the replicated storage. We'll make a folder inside of here and we will call that tools. So then we throw that inside of here, and that's exactly what we want. All right, so now let's go back to the item constructor and let's go back down to the new item. And this is when we're going to be working with the viewport frame. So let's uncomment that, make that true, and let's delete that for a second, and then we'll start working directly underneath of this. You know what? There's actually one more thing that we need to do, and we need to put a model inside of this tool, and we also have to set its primary part to the handle. This is what I normally do. Let me actually throw this inside of the starter pack again, and we'll test this just to make sure that it works. And we can see as we equipped it, it does work, but the image down here doesn't, but at least we are still able to hold it, so that's fine with me. So put this back inside of the tools folder inside of replicated storage, and we can go back to the item constructor. Now we are going to make local view item, and we're not going to set that to anything. Then what we're actually going to do is we need to loop through all of the tools that are inside of here. So we're going to say for underscore comma tool in pairs. And do we have replicated storage? Yes, we do. Okay, so we're going to say replicated storage, find first child, tools. And this might work. If not, we'll have to probably throw a get children onto here. But what this should do is it should loop through any tools that we actually have within this folder. And then we're going to say do, and then we're going to say if tool.name equals config.name. When we're creating an item, it's going to look at the item name. So we're going to set this to item name. So it's going to check if the item name is the same exact one as the tool inside of here. So let's make sure that we actually set this to one of the tools, and we're going to name it pickaxe. So we'll set this to pickaxe. Just to clarify exactly what it's going to do, it's going to loop through this folder. It's going to go through all the tools that are inside of that folder, and then it's going to check the name. And if the name is equal to the exact same one that we're working with in the config, then this will do something. And what we're going to do is we're going to set view item equals tool. So we're going to set view item to that tool, and then we can actually just break that loop. Additionally, let's make a variable for the viewport frame. So we're going to say local viewport frame, and then we will copy this, and then we could just say viewport frame dot visible equals true, and now we can work with that. Additionally, when we're setting the view item and we're setting it to this tool, we're actually going to want to get the model. So we're going to set tool.model because this is the model inside of the tool. So now we got the model, and that is the view item. So we could actually rename this to view item model because we need to use a model so that we can actually set its C frame. So once we get that, we're going to say view item model set primary C frame, and then we're going to make brand new C frame. So C frame dot new, and then inside of here we're going to say vector3 dot new. We'll do 0, -1.5, 0. We might have to play around with this a little bit, and then we will make a brand new vector. And this one we're going to say 0, 0, and 90. And once again, we might have to play around with this, but we'll see. And then we need to make sure that we set the view item model's parent to the viewport frame. There we go. Now it's parented to the viewport frame, and now we actually need to make a camera. So we need to say local viewport camera equals instance dot new camera. Then we're going to say viewport frame dot current camera equals viewport camera. And let's actually name that correctly. Okay, there we go. And then we also need to set the viewport camera dot parent. We need to parent that to the viewport frame. We'll set the field of view of this to 7. And then we also need to set the viewport frame's camera C frame as well. So we're going to say C frame dot new. And then we need to hit it with a vector3 dot new. We're going to do 0, 0, 0. And then we also need to get another vector dot new and hit this with, again, a 0, 0, 0. Then we need to set viewport frame to not nil, so we'll just set it to true. We'll say viewport frame equals true because that'll mean not nil, and then we could start it and see if this works or not. Viewport frame is not a valid member of the text bun, so what we need to do is we need to go down the starter GUI, Shop Gui, item constructor, item template, and viewport frame. So of course I spell it wrong. I need to stop capitalizing the P. This error was on line 81, so right there, and that might fix it. Let's go ahead and start it again and see what happens. Okay, yes, invalid argument number 1 to pairs. So we actually got the instance instead of getting the children. All we got to do is say get children, and that should fix that as well. Okay, we were faced with another error, which was set primary C frame. I actually messed this up a little bit. I wish Roblox would have autofilled for this, but for some reason it wasn't. So it's actually set primary part C frame. That's why we originally set the primary part of that model. So now, if we should have actually stopped the game, but let's make sure that that has saved. So let's go down to here, set primary part C frame. That's exactly what we wanted. Start this up. So if we open up the shop, we can see that there's nothing inside of this, and we also have to hit the viewport frame with a scale, but we'll get to that. So let's go into our Explorer and search up viewport frame while the game is actually running, and this should be the one that we're working with right here. No, it's actually not. It's the item template above here, and here we go. We can see we have the model inside of here. Now, let's just add a part, and if the part appears, which it did, we can sort of tell that we are on the right track. We just need to work with our tool a little bit. So now what we need to do is let's go back to our replicated storage. Let's go into our tools, and let's just duplicate this and drag it into this model. We actually can see it on the screen, but it still looks a little bit weird. So one, we could adjust the FOV on the camera. If we adjust it to 5, okay, when we adjust it to the smaller numbers, it zooms in a little bit. So let's say 10, still a little bit. Maybe we could adjust it a little bit more. 15, that's a little bit too far. So maybe we say like 12. Now let's go over to the item constructor, and let's say that we want to adjust the field of view. So we'll leave that at 12, and then let's go over to here. Let's go to the model, and for the position, remember how we have it as -1.5? Maybe maybe we just want it at 1. And as we can see, that moved it up a little bit. So if we hit that with 0, that looks like it's centered perfectly. And honestly, with the camera, we could probably go to like a 10 now. Oh, we might be able to go a 7 would, okay, I would say 8, and 8 is perfect. Let's go back to the item constructor. Let's hit this with an 8, and then let's hit this with a 0. So that should perfectly center it, and that should be all good. Now, there is one more thing that we do actually need to do though, and let's make sure this saves. So 0, 0, 0, and 8, that's saved perfectly. So now let's go back to the replicate storage. We need to go inside of tools, and this time what we'll try to do is we will try to put the model on the outside, we'll throw the tool on the inside, and we will name this pickaxe. Then we go back to the item constructor and we remove tool.model because we're just getting the model this time. And I think if we start the game this time, it should work perfectly. So we open this up, and yes, we can see that it has worked perfectly. That's awesome. Now all we need to do is we need to scale the viewport frame. So we go down to here. Let's look at the size of it real fast. And yes, as we can see, it is using offset and it is not using scale. So we could just set this to 1 and 0 and then 1, 0 and do it ourselves. And then if we start the game, open it up, we can see that it has scaled perfectly. That's exactly what we wanted. Now, when we click on this, we can see that nothing appears over here. So we sort of have to do the exact same thing, but we have to do it for the clicked item this time. Now, before we go up there, let's actually set our view item model to a property in our object. We're going to say item object dot view item model equals view item model. So now we can pull from that up here. So yes, we want this to be visible. The other thing that we want to do is we want to prevent any possible memory leaks. And I don't know if I'm doing this the best way because I actually do have to kind of make sure that memory leaks don't happen. But this is the best way that I've found to do it. So maybe somebody else could correct me in the comment section. So now what we're going to say is if info item viewport frame find first child, and we're going to say model, then item viewport frame, we're just going to copy this and then we are going to destroy it, and that will prevent any possible memory leaks, and you'll probably understand why in a second. So then what we're going to do is we're going to say local clone item equals, and this time we're actually going to get the view item model. So we're going to say self.view item model and clone that, and then we're going to set the clone item's parent to view display to info item viewport frame. And then if the info item viewport frame does not have a camera, so we're going to find first child camera, then we're actually going to add a camera. So we're going to say local info viewport frame camera. I'm just going to say local camera because at this point our variables are getting pretty long. We're going to say local camera equals instance.new camera. And then we pretty much have to do the exact same thing that we did down here. So I think I could just copy and paste this all directly. We do not need this though. We just need to say info item viewport frame current camera equals camera. And then the camera's parent equals this. And then the camera field of view is 8. And the C frame is that. Okay, so now to explain exactly what we did. What we did, starting from this exact point, if viewport frame does not equal nil, then we're going to set the info item viewport frame to visible. And then we're actually going to see if it has a child named model. Because remember, every single time we add an item to the viewport frame, it's going to be named model. Now let's go ahead and start this up and see if this works. I think we might need to actually make an adjustment, but we'll see about that in a second. So boom, we click on that and it looks perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. So now let's click over and we can see this still is appearing. Now the reason for that is because we actually need to set these things to not visible. So we need to set this to not visible when we're actually using an image, and we need to set the image to not visible when we're using a viewport frame. So let's do that, and that should fix that issue. Now we open this up. We click right there, we see we have the viewport frame, we click right there, we have the image, and we click back and forth, and we have no issues with that. Now, the next thing that I want to check is if we go into players, monster, player GUI, shop GUI, frame, info frame, viewport frame, we can see that every single time we actually click this, we're getting a brand new pickaxe. And the reason for that is because we actually sort of messed something up a little bit. So what we need to do is we need to go to right here, line number 55. And instead of finding the first child named model, we actually just throw in self.item name. And that will actually find the item name, and then we put it right here as well. And now what this is going to do is what we're actually doing is we're cloning an item every single time, and then we're parenting it to the item viewport frame. So as we saw there, every single time we clicked it, it got a brand new model added to it, and that's exactly what this is doing right here. So in order to sort of prevent any memory leaks or like a massive amount of models being stored in that one time until the player leaves and rejoins, we delete the item which is in there every single time. Actually, I don't think this would have worked out exactly how we wanted it. So let's actually do it a better way. What we're going to do is we're going to say for_child in, and then we are going to in pairs of the info item viewport frame, and we're going to get children. And what we're going to say is if child is and then we're going to say model, and then we are going to just destroy that child, and that should cover all of our bases. That should work for every single possible model. And then let's save that and let's start up again and see how that works. So let's open this up. We click there, no issues. We click there again, no issues. Okay, so now let's go inside of here and let's search up viewport frame and let's see if this is the right one. This is the right one. So let's expand that and let's click over to here. And yes, we can see every single time we do click it with a viewport frame, nothing is duplicated. So that works exactly how we wanted it to. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly how you create a Shop GUI in Roblox. And I know the tutorial was a little bit long, but the reason for that is because I wanted to explain it as thoroughly as I possibly could, and I wanted to make sure that you guys understood it as much as possible. If this video did help you guys out and you guys did enjoy it, make sure you smash the like button and hit that subscribe button if you guys want to see some more Roblox development and scripting tutorials. If you guys have any questions, leave in the comment section down below. We also have Discord. You guys can join that. Link down below in the description. I also have a Patreon. If you guys would like to support me and get access to all the scripts which I made in this video, or even the direct game file, then there's a link down below in the description of the Patreon as well. Go check it out. With that being said, I hope that you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.